Hi folks, I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. Of course, I'm Ken Calvert alongside my good friend, Father Joe Grimaldi. The Father Joe Grimaldi podcast is being supported by our great friends at Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln 12 Mile and Telegraph in Southfield. The family, along with the entire staff, once again want to thank you. They've been serving our community for over 50 years with another 50 to come. That's why so many of their customers come back, second time, third time. Guys like me on their fourth Star Lincoln SUV. Star would like to thank you for one of their best months ever. That was May, and June is on track to be their best June ever. And it's easy because they've got a great lineup of sedans and SUVs, and you have to stop by, say hi, have a cup of coffee, and take a look at that 2020 Lincoln Aviator. If you're not blown away, friends, I can't help you. Star Lincoln 12 Mile and Telegraph, you can shop online at starlincoln.com. Highly recommend you do that and just take a look at the YouTube video of the 2020 Aviator. It is incredible. Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, 12 Mile Road and Telegraph in Southfield, the home of the Father Joe Grimaldi Star Treatment. How many times, I'm looking at a pastoral note from our Archbishop Vigneron. How many times do you get like, ding dong, hi Father, got something here from the Archbishop? One of these letters. What would you call this letter, by the way? A pastoral note. Is that just what it is?
Yeah, a pastoral note. We get it
How often?
by email, actually,
okay.
not a text. I think because of the unleashing the gospel, he is sending out, not he, but of course the committee is sending out notices to many of the parishioners in the whole diocese on how to unleash the gospel and how to do it and when to do it and so on and so forth. They're still trying to enforce the idea of unleashing the gospel.
Yes, you were talking about that, and I can't tell exactly where you stand on that, but I'm not going to necessarily push you too hard on that because I know it's very important to the Archbishop. So we're all certainly aware of the fact that that's his initiative, and he's very, very proud of it, and he's going to support it.
He's very serious about it.
He's very serious about it, yes. I happen to need to tell you a little story rather quickly. The article that I'm going to refer to goes back to May, middle of May 2019, so just about a month ago. This comes from our friends at WDIV Channel 4. The Archdiocese of Detroit on Wednesday announced a new policy to cease youth sporting activities on Sundays in a renewed effort to reclaim Sunday as one for worship, rest, and family time. A full news release from the Archdiocese. The note is called or entitled, "The Day of the Lord." So, I run into a friend of mine at a rock and roll show here locally. Big show, big artist on a farewell tour. He works alongside the artist. He's a devout Catholic. Mass each and every morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Literally runs every day, 5 miles to and 5 miles back. Very devoted. He calls me over. One of those Father Grimaldi with the finger, right? Come here. What's up with the Archdiocese banning CYO sports on Sunday? I wouldn't have gotten out of the Motor City. I wouldn't have gotten out of Detroit. I wouldn't have played sports at U.D. High School without the CYO. And most of our practice time was on the weekends. And a large portion of our activities were on Sundays. Basically, I'm speaking for him now. How dare he take that away? There you go. There's your question. I mean, I understand the seventh day we rest. That's fairly simple. So now I sit back and you tell me, did the Archdiocese and our Archbishop do the right thing or did he do the wrong thing?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Judging whether or not it's right or wrong is not for me to say. But I do say this much, that what he is telling us is something we all know. Sunday is the day of the Lord, and we should treat it as such. And that means we should spend more time with family. It means that we should spend more time resting, and so on and so forth. We should not be scattered all over the place. I would like to give you a little bit of an aside at this point.
Go ahead.
Because something comes to my mind that, through the years, society has changed tremendously. I'm thinking about, 70 years ago, my family with the Italian background, there was no question what we did on Sundays. And you had Mass, and then you had this big dinner at 2 o'clock, and everybody, extended family and all, had to be there. And that meant that the little kids had to sit there listening to World War I and World War II stories, which we didn't want to do, but we sat there patiently, well, not so patiently, okay, but we had to be there because the dinner lasted at least 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Minimum. Well, because with the
Yeah,
Italian
of course.
customs, you have the antipasto, you have the pasta, you have the main meal, and all of these things come in different time slots. So, but meanwhile, the whole afternoon was spent discussing, talking with one another, and that meant the extended family. We were all together. Now, I don't think we can get that going today, okay? Not that I would want to, I don't know. But by the same token, that's what we did. Now, 70 years later, for me, 70, 78 years later, but the thing is this, society has changed drastically. Not only are sports involved, but other kinds of meetings are involved with the young people. And so, can I go here? Can I go there? Of course you can, and so on and so forth. Well, it's so hard to keep control of that. And, there's a certain momentum that has built up through the years that to say all of a sudden, okay, we're stopping that this week. No more. No more.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen that easily. I hate to say that. Now, what does happen, though, I think, maybe it triggers in our minds the seriousness of trying to keep the Lord's Day holy, which means first and foremost that we do the best we can to take care of our Sunday obligation of going to Mass. The Church is pretty wise when it comes to going to Mass. The choices that we have are so many. You started with afternoon at 4 or 5 in the afternoon on Saturday. Sundays, inevitably, somewhere you're going to find a Mass at 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 5 in the evening. There's so many choices that you really have a hard time saying, I don't have any time to get to Mass.
That's a good point, yep.
And so what we have to do, though, like anything else, we have to plan ahead. And you plan ahead by putting it in your calendar. This Sunday, we're going to try to do Mass at 4:30 on Saturday. This way, our Sunday morning will be free. We could enjoy each other at breakfast, and then maybe go to different places where we have to go. All of our obligations can be fulfilled that afternoon, including sports, which are not necessarily an obligation, but something you really enjoy. Now, to say that has to stop because the person is not getting to Mass, I don't know if that's true, because the person can get to Mass with all of the different options that are given. Now, whether or not people take those options, how should I put them, they don't think about them until the last minute, well then, that's a problem, a different kind of problem. So I don't think that you can all of a sudden corral people to do a certain thing automatically after they've been used to doing other things for a long period of time, because the momentum is there, and to try to stop that type of thing is not going to happen so easily.
But it's going to happen, and I'll tell you when it's going to happen. It's going to happen this fall when it comes to our Catholic high school leagues, the CHSL and the CYO. They will see their policies implemented this fall in their practices and their game schedules. Officials with the CHSL and the CYO will ensure teams enjoy a full lineup of practices, scrimmages, and games, taking advantage of a Monday through Saturday schedule, and that's going to be it. Sundays are out. So it's not something that they're thinking about, it's done. It's being implemented in the fall as our high schools reopen.
I understand that, and I do see it, but by the same token, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. I wish I had the answer. But there are other places where people can play sports. And so if that is such a burning issue with the young people, they're going to find those other places on Sunday that will require them to be there for practice and games as well.
Yeah, but again, you're kind of defying the church.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. If you are not supposed to be playing baseball at all on Sunday, again, we go back to you and your young ministry as a child. You were home participating with the family all day Sunday.
Right.
And it started with Mass.
Right.
All right? You're going to get that pushback, and I'll tell you we're going to get it. You're going to get it from the coaches in the high schools, and those are going to be Catholic high schools. You're going to step right into it. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It may be, in the back room. It might be very quiet.
But what do you mean by the pushback?
The pushback's going to come.
What will the coaches do?
The coaches are going to say, what are they doing to me? You can't do that. Sunday's a very important part of our scheduling, especially in the late winter when we're forced to play in the high school gyms. At least we can throw the ball around, we can run wind sprints, we can go into batting cages. Now you've eliminated my Sundays. My kids are already exhausted from a full day of school. They have other responsibilities or jobs maybe on Saturday. You're taking away a very important day from our entire schedule of events necessary to be a good, productive baseball team. Granted, all the other teams will as well. Certainly not the public high schools, because they'll continue to do what they do,
right,
and that is practice on a Sunday.
But if it's a done deal, there can't be a pushback. What are they going to
Well, what I mean by pushback is that you're going to do it, but you're going to go into it
unhappily.
Yeah, you're going to go in kicking and screaming about it.
Yeah.
You're going to reluctantly participate in the day of the Lord. You're not going to be the happiest camper sitting around going, I'd rather be playing baseball. Look, I went to Mass. I'm Catholic. I love my religion. I love my priest. I'm going to a Catholic high school. Just let me play baseball. That's my argument. That's what I mean by pushback. You're going to get that. I got it because you and I do a podcast, and I was like, hey, don't blame me. I'll blame it on Father Grimaldi, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no.
You get on the horn right now to Archbishop Vigneron and tell him, I'm just kidding, of course, ladies and gentlemen. We have these little sound effects that we like to pop in here. Anyway, you see what I mean by pushback. You're going to have angry campers. You're going to have kids going, kids are already going, no, why me? They already feel restricted. You know that. I know that. Kids always feel like, oh, you're always coming down hard on me.
I don't have an easy answer for that because
I'm glad you don't, actually.
I'm agreeing with you. There's going to be a lot of unhappiness. The goal is ideal to try to keep Sunday as the Lord's Day, but how we do it is another story. And whether it needs a little more time to kind of blend into it easily.
See, I like where you're going, because I like where you're going with that.
Or, I don't know, I think more understanding, more education, because all of a sudden to say this is it, it's going to be, it's going to have the opposite effect.
I'm playing the part of counterpoint, if you will.
Yes.
And you're kind of supporting my argument because you and I both know you were a principal of a boys' high school for how many years altogether? And how many years did you teach high school? Almost 30, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 31 years, I believe, as a
right.
Christian brother. All right, and I believe 12 of which you were a principal, if not longer.
Correct.
You know this DNA very well. You know that student. You know that it's academics, and what's number 2? Sports, and not necessarily in that order.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that Catholic high schools, we live and die for CC High. We are Brother Rice. Even the hashtag in emails, we are Brother Rice.
Well, I agree with you, and it's not just the sports. I think
By
that's
the way,
one aspect.
I want to do one thing right now to all of the Catholic high schools in the listening area around the world. It just so happens that we have something in common for Father Grimaldi and I in Brother Rice High School. All right. Hey, CC, keep listening, okay? UAD, we'll love you. De La Salle, come on down. We see you, Notre Dame. We see you.
De La Salle the same way.
De La Salle, never looked better, okay? Kudos, guys. Keep it up.
But it's not just sports. I'm just thinking the robotics clubs that very often have their events on Sunday. Their science clubs and all of these different things.
The radio clubs?
Yeah,
oh, that's right. They don't have broadcasts.
Yeah, no, but basically it involves a lot of activities that take the people away from the household. Now, what do we want? What do we want to achieve?
A bunch of angry kids at home all day?
No, I don't want that.
Yeah, nor do I.
But by the same token, how do we solve this problem? Because the ideal is good. The ideal is the Lord's Day. Keep holy the Lord's Day.
Yeah.
But how do we achieve that by forcing them to be away from the activities they enjoy?
Okay. I know for a fact that this may generate a lot of dislike mail in your email, which will be directed at me. My brother-in-law is an avid golfer. He is also a Catholic. There's no better quality time for my brother-in-law and his two sons than spending a sunny, rare afternoon in June, July, or August with his sons bonding on the golf course. And I know a lot of fathers like to do that as well. So that is, I guess, by this pastoral note, no longer acceptable behavior.
Well, I think the ideal is to
I
keep
know I'm
holy.
pushing it right to the wall.
Well, no, but I mean, to keep holy the Lord's Day, that's one thing. How you do it is another story. Okay?
Oh, well, I agree with you. And I say we start slow and build up to something, okay? That's the best way. It's always worked for me, all right? I don't try and take on anything more than I can do, all right? I have my own personal restrictions, and I know what they are. So I try and do what I can, but don't overdo it so you hurt yourself. So I think the same thing could be applied here. You could go, maybe, let's take the Mass and add an additional hour or two and go get some brunch. Maybe go home, sit around, have a little conversation. Just sort of open up the dialogue with the family, and don't look at your watches and don't look at your phones. Can we just sit around and communicate, see how we're all doing?
But even that is impossible sometimes.
Well,
I just think it's...
then this is going to be even harder.
Of course it is.
This is going to be...
No, I have no doubt. The only thing that we can say is that it's not a matter of committing mortal sin, okay?
Yeah.
Except that it's not going to be available. It's not going to be available.
But when
to
you
do
think
that
about
in Catholic
especially
League.
the inner city here in Detroit, it's such a great opportunity. The CYO, the YMCA, all of the youth organizations that usually have as their backstop, if you will, their support, some sort of a religious affiliation. It just, in my mind, Camp CYO. I went to Camp CYO. They don't canoe on Sundays anymore?
No.
You can't sit around a campfire on Sunday? You know what I mean? I know I'm begging a lot of silly questions here and buttons I'm pushing, but I just think this one's unusual, and my friend, I think, brought up a very good topic. And I'd be curious to see how this one gets discussed out there in podcast land.
Yeah, me too. I think, first of all, we're dealing with a situation where the ideal is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
However, getting there is another story.
What would your solution be right now? Let's say that you all of a sudden assume the position of Archbishop Grimaldi, and you've been getting directions from the synods that have been going on, and one of the directions that has been discussed is the fact that we are going to reclaim the Day of the Lord, but it didn't come with any set of directions, okay? It just says, let's reclaim the Day of the Lord. So you go, okay, how do you install it?
Since I'm not in that position, I don't think I can really comment.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
You can't do a hypothetical for me, okay?
Mm-mm.
Well, that's too bad. I was hoping you would, but you can't, so you won't. I understand that. Okay. I see you shaking your head. I get it. I totally get it.
I wish I could, but I can't.
All right, well, then can we leave it at this? Can we just say this? Let's see how it works out.
Oh, definitely.
Let's plan on following this into the fall.
And see how it goes.
And I will do some actual
research?
I'll do some research, yeah. I have friends who are coaches, and I want to see, and I'm going to start before the season even starts and get their feeling.
Well, the boys' bowl game.
It says
traditionally on a Sunday. That's what it was.
It says right. Not this fall. It's not.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not going to be this fall. This is effective this fall. You know, I wish there are certain things that sometimes I wish we had what they call a vodcast or a video podcast. A lot of reasons why I'm thrilled we don't, based on my appearance 90% of the time.
Oh, me
but
too.
I would love to be able to hold up this letter that I'm holding up in front of the microphone right now. So that, but you can find it online. It comes from the Catholic News Agency, and I think I also saw it through Click on Detroit WDIV. You would have to go into the search box. But thank you for taking on the topic.
Oh, no, I really think it's an important topic. It needs a resolution because I hate to see all these people turn away from the church because of a very strong recommendation to make holy the Lord's Day, which is the ideal we're trying to achieve, but I think there's different ways of approaching it. We have to find the right way.
Well, you know that I'm going to get something in the mailbag that says, let me know when Babe Ruth is canonized, okay? And then I'll listen to your...
podcast.
Yeah, well, not only the podcast, but I'll listen to your plan going forward, Calvert. So thank you so much for dialing by and enjoying another edition of the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. I'm Ken Calvert alongside Father Joe Grimaldi.
Good to be with you. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.